Visual art for games becomes more and more complex. Whole teams are required to create assets for games that historically were made by a single artist. These days, it could take up to 8 people to make a single piece of armor.
Oh! How many Gamergators does it take to make a single piece of armor?
Oh God, I don't know.
50. 1 to do the modeling, 1 to do the materials, and 40 to tweet that it's not your shield.
Okay. Again.
Hello everybody. Pull up a chair, get comfortable. It's time for tea time. I got one thing to go over first, and it's gonna be a crazy day today, so I'm doing this now. And I do welcome you, and good morning and everything. First things first, I'll be putting together a video today and doing some editing on a project, not the project I've been promising for the last like month and a half, but a different project altogether. So you'll probably see that here shortly, probably as early as tomorrow. But as you can see from the intro, something went down, and Tim Schafer, I do like some of your work. I did like Psychonauts, and Double Fine, I think, produced Costume Quest 2, I believe. I could be wrong with that, which I've live streamed in the past. But you kind of stuck your foot in your mouth. Yesterday at the GDC, there was no way you should have done it the way you did. And if people don't understand, check out the beginning of the video, because that's what opened up my show today. Was his comments concerning Not Your Shield. I don't pretend to be part of Not Your Shield at all. I think it's just, I don't know, I just don't like it. But at the same time, there's women in minority there, and I've actually talked to some of them, and they're nice people, and they do explain stuff, and I've gotten into some nice conversations with people from there, and that comment just slapped the face of like a lot of people that were part of that group, plus a lot of neutral people that probably wasn't online. They wanted to stay away from it, but those comments kind of didn't look good for your position. I understand the aspect is, and I've been critical with, the hashtag myself, not that hashtag, but the hashtag that preceded it, which I'm still not naming, but I will be in probably just a couple minutes, because I want to get into my bigger rant. And it was just a slap in the face. I mean, that was uncalled for, and it is one of the biggest things that's holding both sides back, is comments like that. I understand you don't like them, that's fine, but you kind of took it a little too far. I understand that was supposed to be a joke, and people are getting upset over a joke, but I mean, that would be the same thing for me to make an Arab joke, or a Polish joke, or a transgender joke at this moment. It's uncalled for, and in a society, especially in this society now, stuff like that doesn't look too good, and it actually made your position look like it's bullies. The same thing you accuse the other side of doing. So I don't know where I lie still. I'm still going to be claiming neutral. Like I said, that's making me lean more towards Not Your Shield, and I actually am thinking about joining that side. However, I still have some problems with them, and I won't be joining any side still. Which begs the bigger question. what is hashtag Gamergate? And yes, I said the hashtag, but it's for the greater good here of the show. Why is it succeeding and still relevant today when it comes to pertaining to video games, but in other forms it doesn't exist? And what I'm saying is if you go into like comic books tried the same thing earlier in the life of hashtag Gamergates, but failed. Why? What was there that happened that made them fail and the video game one's still going on? The same thing with like movies. There's, I mean, the same people, like almost the same kind of people are trying to make movies the same as video games. Well, you know what I mean. Having more ethnic casts, having, you know, women portrayed better in movies and stuff like that. Why isn't movies having the same kind of movement against them? Same thing with books. In fact, earlier in the year, or actually at the end of last year, there was a hashtag Readergate, which made fun of Gamergate. So, why is it video games that this is still relevant, and in other forms it's not anymore? And the answer, I was thinking about why is that, and then the answer came yesterday or last night as I was waking up and seeing, you know, my Twitter feed fill up with all of a sudden these posts from both sides saying, oh, it was just a joke, and other people saying, well, I just deleted his game. You know, I do have Psychonauts part of my PS2 collection. Why? Because I truly like the game, and it's part of my collection. Am I going to get rid of it? Most likely not, because I need it to round up my collection. But at the same time, I'm glad I didn't buy it new. I'm glad I bought it used and after the fact, because I didn't give him any money directly. The only person that got money for the sale was, I believe, Game Again, which sadly is out of business. But, I mean, this is why Gamergate is still going on. In other forms, like comic books, Gamergate did something like this, tried happening in as Gamergate for video games, but was shot down because they just quit talking about it. That was pretty much it. Like the people, like Gail Simone, who's one of my favorite writers, you know, she coined the term "women refrigerators." She did something that you need to actually, has used in the past, but she's the one that came up with the term. Why aren't comic book readers trying to run her out of comics? Because she's a great writer, and there's no need to do it. And plus, she's not talking about it that often. You know, if you watch her Twitter feed, it's always stuff that makes no sense to a lot of people, but it's actually really funny. Or she's trying to drum up business for A&W, which I've sadly had, and because of her. But, you know, in other forms, it's got squashed because people are not open-minded, but there's no clash there. And not only that, is the comic journalism is actually a lot better than video game journalism, I will admit that. And that's another reason why, on the comic book end of things, it didn't take off, especially against, you know, the SJW people and everything. So, I mean, SJWs, please listen to me and listen to me closely. I know you're probably going to attack me. I'm neutral, that's fine. I've already had somebody try it. Saying, neutral, yeah, right. Con, yeah, I'm actually neutral. I've discussed hashtag Gamergates, and this would be the only time I actually mention the hashtag. Or I'm going to try not to use the hashtag very often. But it's, this is why this thing is still persisting, is because the lines are still there and they're still batting heads. With like comic books, it just died out because they started talking about it and they're like, oh, wait a minute, there's no problem here. Okay, we'll move on. But a push against like the SJWs and comic bookdom is pretty much non-existent because, well, they're existent and they're pushing. I mean, I do it myself. I love to have more comics for females because it means more stuff for me to read, and I like going to the comic book shops and being like, oh, there we go, I got my post for this week. And I love doing that, and a lot of people, from what I've seen, yes, sometimes going into one of those shops is intimidating. But once I got to know the crew at my store, they're like, oh yeah, and I've never experienced like the whole fake gamer girl type syndrome that a lot of girls could put through. I know that. But at the same time, when I was coming back into comic books, I was trying to find a comic book that spoke to me. Yes, I was getting Batgirl at the time and reading that because this is when DC did their New 52, and I got that and started sending that, and I'm like, okay, what other books are out there that I could read and actually enjoy? And I asked a few females there, to like, when I was looking, I'm like, what are you reading? And I got hooked into some other stuff. I picked up a few comics by Gail Simone, who I enjoyed reading at the time because she was the Batgirl. But it's pretty much non-existent in comic books that this is the divide between SJWs and comic readers or whatever. I don't know what they call themselves. But in video games, there's a divide between the SJWs and these gamers, and I understand why. Like, I didn't understand it. I'm like, okay, why is this succeeding in this genre, and why does it keep on going when other forms is pretty much non-existent? And the answer to that is they keep on butting heads, and SJWs, I hate to say this, but you're the ones that keep pushing. Yes, Gamergate has done it, and they do push back a little bit, but if you would stop and shut up, I bet you this would just go away. Shut up, make an attempt at some kind of peace, apologize for saying that they were dead, and it'll probably just go away. But until then, I can't be on your side because you keep pushing and you keep hurting people. I don't understand it. You're supposed to be protecting women and minorities, and yet you attack a hashtag. You just attack it with the comments like that. That was not what you should have been doing. And as a side note, Tim Schafer, learn to count. Okay. In the joke, you said 50, and then your number equaled 42. So maybe learn to count. It might help you too. But you understand, like, I understand, like, anti-gamers. You don't understand that, yes, it was a joke, but you just dehumanized an entire population of people that are just trying to, that weren't even, most of them weren't even, like, attacking you. Most of them were just saying, I'm women, I'm a woman, I'm a minority, we're not all this way. And it's making me it's forcing me to go over that side, and I don't want to go over that side. because a lot of the people over there don't like me. Or actually my gender, my transgenderism. But that's a different thing. But I'm going on like 15 minutes here, so I'm just going to wrap this up. I'll talk to everybody later. Bye.